Deontay Wilder knocks out Artur Szpilka in the 9th round with a brutal one-punch knockout. The right hand landed bang on Artur Szpilka's chin and he was out before he hit the canvas. In fact, he hit his head very hard on the canvas. His whole body twisted round Amir Khan style and he went down, hit his head. He was out like a light. Wicked, wicked punch. And I just hope that Artur Szpilka is okay after suffering that type of devastating knockout. He was taken out on a stretcher and given oxygen and all that as a precautionary measure, and I seriously hope he's okay. As far as the fight itself, there was a tremendous atmosphere in the Barclays Center, and that was mainly down to Artur Szpilka's fans, the Polish fans, who always give their fighters massive support. So got to give a shout out to the Polish contingent because they really made a great atmosphere in there. The fight was very cagey. And I tell you what, Artur Szpilka impressed me in this fight with his energy, his movement. And I actually feel that he was outboxing Deontay Wilder through quite long stretches in this fight. Wilder was landing the cleaner shots, the more eye-catching shots, but Szpilka was often the busier, and he just seemed to be one step ahead of Wilder most of the time. And he was making Wilder a bit confused, you know, and Wilder really had to be patient and wait for his opportunities. And as the fight progressed, Szpilka did start to slow down a little bit. And when he was slowing down, Wilder started landing more cleanly. Wilder was getting caught himself here and there more cleanly as well as the pace slowed down, but he showed he was the stronger puncher and he was able to get through with his shots. And Szpilka had taken Wilder's punches very well up until that final blow. And it was starting to look like maybe Wilder just don't have the power to hurt Szpilka. But as always with boxing, being a devastating puncher is not just about having the brute force. It's not just about the amount of power you can hit a heavy bag with. It's to do with timing. A lot of guys can punch hard, but they don't have the timing or the accuracy to be able to land those hard punches at a critical moment on the opponent's chin. And that's why a lot of guys who hit extremely hard don't always have great knockout records necessarily. It's a skill to be able to land your big, powerful punches on your opponent's chin in a fight. It's a lot different than hitting a bag. And it took until the 9th round before Deontay Wilder really managed to land with full force on Artur Szpilka's chin. And when he did, one punch is all it took. Lights out. Wow. What a right hand that was. Definitely going to be a candidate for knockout of the year with that right hand. As far as Wilder's performance, he struggled. Let's not get it twisted. It's not like he was getting beaten up in there. It's not like he really got hurt or anything like that. Some people may think he got rocked a little bit, but personally, I don't think he did. It's just he struggled with the southpaw style. He struggled with Artur Szpilka's constant in and out movement. Szpilka was doing his best Manny Pacquiao impression in this fight. And for a 233, whatever he was, 238 pound heavyweight, 6'3", to be bouncing around the ring like that for 9 rounds with very little let up, that's impressive. I mean, he was obviously spurred on by the Polish fans and he obviously got himself in tremendous condition to be able to bounce around like that. And that kind of in and out movement, the southpaw style, being awkward, never being in one spot for too long, it confused Deontay Wilder. There's no question about it. And Wilder said in a post-fight interview that Szpilka was a lot more awkward and tricky and slick than he expected. And it was the same for me. I didn't expect Szpilka to be quite that slick and tricky. He was a very, very tricky southpaw, fought out of his skin. That's the best I've seen Szpilka fight. Fought a good fight, and he was offsetting Deontay Wilder. And I tell you what, in terms of the scorecards, I really wouldn't know how to score that fight. I mean, you could have definitely had Szpilka ahead. You maybe could have had Wilder ahead on the cleaner shots. It was, a lot of the rounds were very, very close. There wasn't much in it. And there were some good rounds. The fight started off a bit cagey, and it wasn't that entertaining apart from the atmosphere. That's why people were into it. But as it went on, you started getting more and more entertaining rounds where the guys were going back and forth, where Wilder would start strong in one round and then Szpilka would come on in the second half of the same round, and you'd end up thinking, hang on, who the hell won that round? Because it was looking like a Deontay Wilder round for the first minute and a half, and then Szpilka won the second minute and a half. You're thinking, what the hell? And as the fight progressed, you got more and more rounds like that. So yeah, Szpilka fought out of his skin, definitely gave Wilder a lot of trouble. A lot of close rounds. You could have had Szpilka ahead going into the ninth, depending on how you scored it, depending on what you liked. But there was no question about that right-hand finish. What a terrific punch. Good God. Lights out. And at ringside, this fight really, the occasion brought the fun back to the heavyweight division. Because you had Alexander Povetkin sitting ringside. You also had Charles Martin Glasgow on the undercard. And that fight ended in disappointing fashion, by the way. Glasgow clearly hurt his leg badly. It was a terrible injury. You saw it on replay. His knee just popped. It was horrible. And he ended up losing to Charles Martin. And Charles Martin becomes IBF champion pretty much by default because Glasgow just injured himself in there. It was a horrible injury. Be that as it may, Charles Martin fought on the undercard. He's now the IBF champion. You had Povetkin at ringside, enjoying the atmosphere. And of course, you had the one and only Tyson Fury. And he got in the ring after the fight, stepped to Deontay Wilder face to face, called him out, coming with the trash talk. And, it all got a little bit rowdy. And Tyson Fury called him a bum. Deontay Wilder responded. Fury was running around, taking his jacket off, and it all got a little bit WWE in there, which is what I like to see. It was fun. It was a fun atmosphere. And that fight right there, I mean, imagine that when it happens. As long as Wilder can keep on winning, and I'm sure some of you are going to say there's no way he gets past Povetkin. Me personally, I'm still going to take him over Povetkin. Some people are going to say you're crazy for that, Hat Man. But, as long as the fight's in the States, I think I'll take him over Povetkin. If the fight's in Russia, maybe not. All right. But yeah, the atmosphere was great. It brought the fun back to the heavyweight division. It was great to see Tyson Fury in there, getting in his face. I'm telling you, man, we're entering a new golden age of heavyweight boxing. The fun is back. Yeah, and again, I have to clarify this whole golden age thing. When I say golden age, I'm not saying that the fighters in this particular era of boxing are going to be as good as they were in the 90s or as good as they were in the 70s. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an age of heavyweight boxing where it's going to be competitive and exciting again, where it's going to be fun again. The 90s was a fun era. And during the 90s, by the way, for those of you who weren't around for those years watching boxing, most of the critics at the time were saying how poor the division was in the 90s. Oh, yes, they were saying, this is a terrible time for heavyweight boxing. All these guys are garbage. Boxing writers like Mike Katz was saying, none of these guys can fight. It's all rubbish. It's all garbage. It's not until after the 90s were done that people look back and say, wow, that was actually a great era. And it may end up being the same with this era. But what I'm saying is I'm going to enjoy it as it unfolds. And I can see it for what it is right now. And it's going to be a new golden age. We're going to have loads of fun fights, knockouts, rivalries, trash talking. I can't wait, man. So, yeah. Deontay Wilder knocks out Artur Szpilka 9th round. Let me know how you felt about Wilder's performance. And again, styles make fights. As far as I'm concerned, in terms of Wilder's performance, styles make fights. He was in with a tricky, awkward southpaw. The guy was bouncing around all over the place. It's very difficult for him to get a handle on the guy. He eventually got there when the pace slowed down and he cracked him with that terrific right hand. He maybe could have done more with his jab, I feel, Deontay Wilder. I think he was looking for the right hand a little bit too much. He should have let Szpilka come to him a bit more. Kept his jab out. I think Wilder should have kept his jab out a bit more and let Szpilka come to him and let Szpilka reach for him a bit more. And I think he would have been able to land his right hand easier. But I think he was a little too anxious to go looking for the knockout, especially early in the fight, and not let it come to him. So it's all a learning process, and that was definitely a good learning fight for Deontay Wilder. His next fight, unless the WBC are willing to give him an exemption, because he's got his mandatory Alexander Povetkin. And the only way he's going to get out of that is if the WBC give him an exemption and allow a unification with one of the other champions, either Charles Martin or Tyson Fury. So, I don't know about the Chigayev Lucas Brown winner, but they may give him an exemption. But if they do give him an exemption, Normally the way it works is the mandatory challenger, in this case Povetkin, would have to agree to take step-aside money. That's how it normally works. And if he don't want to take the step-aside money, he can force the fight through. Yeah, normally mandatory challengers who are offered step-aside money, they normally take the money because you're getting money for doing nothing and you're going to get your shot afterwards anyway. And quite often, the step-aside money is just as much, if not more, than the purse you'd get for the actual fight. So most mandatory challengers, when they're offered step-aside money, they tend to take it because you're getting millions for doing nothing. We'll see what happens here. But nonetheless, I was entertained tonight. We saw the David Haye fight. We saw the unfortunate Glasgow-Martin fight. And we saw this pretty entertaining fight between Wilder and Szpilka. And the antics with Fury in the ring afterwards, I thought was great. He had Povetkin sitting ringside. God knows what he thought of the whole thing. So, yeah, onwards and upwards for the heavyweight division. Heavyweight boxing is back, people. So enjoy it while it's here. You know, people always want to be miserable about everything, but enjoy this while it's here, people. It's entertainment at the end of the day. Whether you think Wilder's garbage or not, you can't tell me that this stuff ain't entertaining. It's entertaining. So lighten up, people, and enjoy this stuff while it's here. Yeah? Let me know what you felt about the fight, the performances of both fighters. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.